Good evening. I'm very pleased to talk to you a little bit since this is an opportunity to tell you important facts about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and the negotiations which we have been undertaking, especially the last 6 days. I think it's important to put some useful facts about Ethiopia's contribution to the Nile. Ethiopia has 3 major rivers that are flowing to the Nile and also additional 2 smaller rivers. In total contributes about 77 billion meter cube of water. The Abai, which is sometimes called Blue Nile, the full Blue Nile is after it is joined by Dinder and Rahad. In Ethiopia we call it Abai. Abai contributes 49 billion meter cube. It's a smaller tributaries joining outside Ethiopia, Dinder and Rahad, will bring additional up to 4 billion. And when you take the other rivers Ethiopia has got, Baro Akobo brings up to 13.5, sometimes up to 15 billion meter cube of water, joining first the White Nile, moving with the White Nile towards Khartoum. Further north, there is Takazi Atbara, which is bringing 11.2 billion meter cube of water. In total, like 77 billion meter cube of water, or what we call 86% of the Nile flow, measured at Aswan High Dam, comes from Ethiopia. There are injustice, past agreement, unjustifiable, past agreements between countries which Ethiopia never recognized and was not part of it, allocates 0 water from 86% contribution for its socio-economic development. This is important fact. Often people miss this point and only take Abai as if Abai is the river contributing to the Nile, the only river. No, it is not. Abai is one of the tributary, but there are 2 major rivers still contributing. Imagine 11 and 13.4 plus additional 4 directly flowing, nearly bringing up to 30 billion in addition to the Abai. There are really serious and strange type of discussion and putting all the load to the Abai River and the GERD to solve all ifs and buts and unexpected scenarios of very low probabilities. I have to tell you also about the GERD. The GERD is the least controversial dam in the transboundary context because it's purely done by the dam owner for hydropower generation. It means water is not consumed, rather stored temporarily and passes through the turbine into the downstream. You can immediately see the benefits. It's a significant economic infrastructure where regulated flow flows downstream. The regulation takes place in higher altitude where less evaporation takes place. The regulation upstream helps protection of flood in the downstream. We can quote reports from just August 15 here in Sudan, for example. How many people are killed due to flood? How many people are displaced due to flood? The GERD benefit is as important storage infrastructure upstream of the poor people who are exposed to the negative effect of flooding and big rivers. GERD brings that essential benefits to Ethiopia. As in most cases you read reports, you sometimes write by yourself as media outlets. Africa is still a dark continent, hasn't got enough energy, couldn't build its industry and the development that helps economic, social, and environmental benefits. From economic point of view, if you don't have electricity or energy like this, you can't even record what I'm talking. There is no advancement without having energy. Industry needs energy, improving service sector, improving social sector like education, health, all need reliable and sufficient energy. If we want to increase productivity of agriculture, agro-processing, mechanization, etc., all depend on availability of reliable energy. The sole purpose of the Ethiopia Dam at the GERD, which is just 20 kilometers from the Sudan, is to generate that electricity and make electricity accessible to the inaccessible 67% of Ethiopian population. We have only access to 33% of the population. Like the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, we still remain in poverty, not having energy for the reasons I have told you. We could do much better if we have this energy. But Ethiopia has this renewable energy resource thanks to its topography and ample water resource flowing downstream, can capture this through GERD and generate electricity. We can see the downstream positive sides. On the water storage benefit, I said the energy uplifting, if you consider this dam as, the dam upstream of Sudan and Egypt, it can easily uplift energy by increasing the plant factor of existing turbines. In the Sudan, you can see, for example, at Marawi, you can make the turbines operational 100% of the time because Marawi is providing just 6 or 7 billion meter cube of water. When this one brings additional 58 billion live storage flowing within 1 year, all turbines could operate 100%. Downstream, upstream further at Rosarius, where we have 6 billion meter cube of water, again, all turbines could function 100%. Flood is protected in the, people are protected against the flood in the corridor. Sediment is captured in the canyon of the GERD, which is ideal to trap sediments because its length is long, but its surface area is small. That means it's not exposed to extreme evaporation like Aswan High Dam, which has got very low altitude and a lot of temperature that boils the water to evaporation, which makes lose 10 to 15 billion per year. Upstream, you control water, you have less evaporation. It means when you take into account the flooding, the loss of water after flooding through evaporation, this kind of dam actually brings new water on an annual basis. Unfortunately, discussions are not going around the positive benefits of this dam, and always negative energy is dissipated. It provides regulated flow, sediment, evaporation. What I'm saying, all these are really technically, when you look at them, very, very important issues. So when you look at the process we have set up to look at the Ethiopia's dam, Ethiopia has nothing to hide on this dam. In an unprecedented manner, it is unprecedented because when downstream countries were building their dams, they were not consulting Ethiopia. They were not considering into account its needs and so on. But Ethiopia had taken a step further when the two countries mentioned they have concerns. Yes, please come and look at our dam. And asked ministers, technical people, uh, the people of Egypt, the people of Sudan to visit the dam through inviting relevant stakeholders. We did that. We established international panel of experts. We called for international panel of experts to review how this dam is designed, what it entails in terms of technical aspects, economic and social aspects. We invited experts from Sudan to join the international panel of experts. We have agreed on those, and 4 experts from UK, Germany, France, South Africa, and 6 experts from the 3 countries joined this experts meeting and evaluated. The economical benefit and so on all are seen, and the important dimensions of the dam are evaluated, and no significant comment. In fact, to accept the proposal or the result or the outcome of the international panel of experts was not even accepted by Egypt, unfortunately. Even if it reveals within the process, we have shared 150 documents, even if it is prepared together with their own experts. Okay, anyway, it moved on. That impasse was solved by the meetings of heads of states. The 3 countries' leaders met on this issue and prepared what we call a 10-point declaration of principles. So far, we have been following the declaration of principles very meticulously and implementing them. Mechanisms were developed. Among those are, the consultation of the water affairs ministers, the 9-party group, which involves the foreign ministry, the water minister, and the security side. And based on the recommendation or consensus in that platform, we established what we call National Independent Scientific Research Group. The National Independent Scientific Research Group is composed of scientists from the 3 countries, 5 individuals from each of them. They met in 2018 within short period of time. Within 3 months, they met 3 times and took assignments to their countries and evaluated documents, especially on the filling plan, because what matters here is the GERD is very much clear that it is not having negative impact, rather its positive impacts outweighs the negative impacts, but care should be taken during filling. So the filling strategy, the initial as dam owner proposal was given by Ethiopia as a dam owner. That means with that initial proposals, the 2 countries reflected, did their own modeling, and negotiated on various parameters, on number of years to be considered for the full filling of the dam. So Ethiopia's proposal, including the negotiation and finalization of our deals, extended the filling up to 7 years. This was a very, very substantial progress. We put a 6-year matrix, how the water is filled, what level it will reach at what particular year, and so on. This is very good, what we expect from scientific group to bring that kind of consensus. Ethiopia was also even extra careful in terms of building this dam and used a cutting-edge technology called the roller compacted concrete technology to construct the dam in stages and allow adequate space for the release of water in the downstream, towards the downstream during the construction stage. Other technologies just complete the dam and start filling. That is, completely blocking the water and then only releasing through the bottom outlet. But This technology even takes care to reach up to the level of bottom outlet and then still keep the open space at the center part of the dam to release adequate water, not to pressurize any downstream demands and water needs. So with this kind of technology, we are already in advance, very proactively addressing the challenge of the downstream. So with this NISRG, to this last week, the expert group and the ministerial meeting took place for 6 days. Experts met for 4 days. We have seen they have made very good progress. Those progresses include implementing the guidance that was given in Cairo by the Ministers of Water Affairs to revisit their final point after the third meeting, what they have achieved at that point, and continue to look at the 25th September 2018 report they have produced to the ministers' meeting. That was not agreed complete report, but an intermediate oral presentation, takes those into account, and also take the new developments, which is unfortunate development that backtracks and deviates from the principle we have established that Egypt has produced as unilateral proposal. Even look at that and consider also the proposal of Ethiopia and Sudan, because this proposal surely expected to deviate and take position on our negotiation points. So based on this instruction, the team here in Khartoum looked at this instruction. They opened, that means the individual countries presented their proposals. For me, for Ethiopia, it is significant stride. Even if it is out of way, unilateral proposals without completely ignoring the previous development, take into account these three countries' additional proposal or additional viewpoints. They discussed how to address, how to respond to these proposals were discussed, and an outline was prepared actually, how to address this step by step, issue by issue, addressing challenges that the experts have faced to be analyzed issue by issue. Again, as if it seems fait accompli that Egypt is not prepared to really discuss on these specific issues, demanded that take the whole package or leave it. The entire document should be reviewed only for one country, first for Egypt. No, this is, we have already seen the Egyptian proposal. It only took position on our deliberation, for example, on minimum flow, on operation principles and frameworks. These have been discussion points, but they took decisions that you have to release guaranteed 40 billion meter cube of water, for example, as minimum flow. Imagine when Ethiopia contributes through its other rivers, additional 30 billion, here I have to guarantee 40 billion to flow downstream. Guarantee? No one can give guarantee as human being. Guarantee comes from God. God gives us this resource. In 1930, Abai, or Blue Nile, was having just 21 billion meter cube of water. In 1984, during the infamous drought, it provided only 29 billion meter cube of water. Now, when you look at the dam is in the filling process, I don't have the water in the dam. Egypt's position, I have to guarantee 40 billion meter cube of water. The reasoning Ethiopia has brought forward, which is also concurred at intermediate point by the Sudan, it has to be science-driven, it has to be knowledge-based, based on historical minimum flow. Historical minimum flow, if it comes to that low level, Ethiopia is willing to release the entire, that minimum flow. If the flow coming towards GERD, which is not yet filled, comes lower than, Ethiopia is also ready to release that minimum flow. The surprising thing, right now, Aswan High Dam has got 150 billion meter cube of water, brimful. This you can imagine for how many years this could serve Egypt. So, I'm just taking, on average, around 10 billion meter cube of water per year out of my 77 billion contribution. And this was not plausible for Egypt, unfortunately. So, this process at ministerial level proceeded with this kind of atmosphere of discussion. Of course, the ministers from the NISRG listened, opened the meeting of the ministers together with this technical group yesterday and made our opening statements, listened orally the reflections of the chairpersons from the three countries and started discussing, including the outlines they have prepared, how they could address the proposals of each country, that there were some level of understanding on those proposals. I see this progress is already a significant progress because it opened the proposals of the three countries. It looked at the issues. The issue can be resolved still if we are, as we nominate them as a scientist group, as independent group. Unfortunately, in those groups, there are some people who want to decide on behalf of the ministers. Couldn't produce a report that should be actually submitted to the ministers. In fact, the ministers have the leverage and the capacity. So all three of us have technical competence in the area. We could analyze, we could adjust on these important issues, but we didn't get the report. So, Ethiopia side, which is also similar to Sudan side, to look into the issues carefully at the level of the ministers requires further deliberation and producing of report. No matter what kind of report it is. It could be 100% disagreement. It could also be capitalizing on issues what we have agreed. Screen out the issues that are not agreed, and on each of the items we wanted to look into what are the position of Egypt, what is the position of Ethiopia, what is the position of Sudan. And the ministers could have actually resolved those issues. So where we are going from here is really to take this important development to be proceeded further with discussion and negotiation, capitalizing on the profound work that is done by the independent group in short period of time. In fact, the 9-party group gave an assignment to undertake up to 9 meetings. Up to 9 meetings, so far it's just 6 meetings. And in terms of timeline, it was shorter, but due to circumstances in our countries, this was extended until, for example, after revolution of the Sudan, until the new cabinet is formed and minister is appointed to look at these issues. So That proposal, unilateral proposal came on August 1st when there was no settlement to handle this issue. So immediately after having the right quorum, we went to Egypt and really discussed this issue. And the guidance we gave in Egypt was followed here in Khartoum, and progresses are made from Ethiopia's point of view. Adequate progresses are made. There is no other way than continuing with the meeting until all issues are solved. Proposing a different mechanism without even the ministers carefully looking at the agreement point, the disagreement point, is not the way to go forward, is not, we were actually asked by our heads of state, 3 of them together, to deliver as water affairs ministers on this technical issue. Nobody else is actually instructed to do that. That instruction I will full-heartedly follow and implement and give all my time until we reach the conclusion. So that is what is transpired, and I thank you very much for your attention.
I'm Khalid Abdulaziz from Reuters. Egyptian delegation has proposed to add a new partner in negotiation as international partner or something like this. My question about your comment about this proposal also.
New partner is not a modality we have been given by our heads of states. Somebody can express views, but we have a principle. Based on our principle, there is nothing that cannot be solved by water affairs ministers. Technical group hasn't reported even to the water affairs ministers in a substantial manner in a written report yet. They have to bring that report. So this is hindered by Egypt and bringing something new, something we haven't considered, we haven't been instructed by our country leaders. So I don't see it also personally why we need new partners. Do you want to extend for indefinite time, that until that new partner comes in, understand, study, so all these documents? No. And we tried that, independent consultants. It didn't go that way. It didn't resolve the issue. So we returned it back to our own country scientists, 5 from each country. These are competent scientists from universities, professors from university, who know seriously on the subject matter. It's not the issue of foreign ministry, it's the issue of technical scientists, knowledgeable persons on these issues. Therefore, we only get from those. It's not a mediation issue, it's really a technical issue that we could easily resolve. Yes.
Your Excellency, my name is Abdulaziz. I'm working from Agency France Press. The Egyptian, after this meeting day, after the end of the meeting, they issue a statement. They said the negotiation reached a deadlock, and they said the Ethiopians, they take the responsibility because they raised a new issue, and they allegate that the Ethiopians have violated the principal declarations that have been signed in March 2015. Your comment?
Completely false. The deadlock, if they consider this progress a deadlock, it's their call. It's not Ethiopia's call. We made progress. We are not referring to anywhere. We have to continue discussing. In fact, we discussed internally with the ministers and 2 experts to proceed online communication with the expert groups until they resolve this issue. But ultimately, somebody from their group, not the minister, heard it reached deadlock. Well, we as ministers given responsibility to resolve this matter, but somebody else is giving decision in this platform, unfortunately. So the deadlock issue is not true. We are discussing issues. We, in 3 huge proposals submitted from the 3 countries were looked at by experts, and these experts outlined how to address this in a coherent and succinct manner, and they did that, but they failed to converge on reporting on how to look these issues. So the issues are submitted. The issues are not tackled yet effectively. So experts should go back, model, put these new parameters into the equations and so on.
Mohammed Osman from the BBC. In the same statement, the Egyptian side was accused, Syrian side, by refusing all the proposal was given by Egyptian side. What's your comment?
The refusal issue is false allegation. Refusal doesn't exist at all. They submitted their proposals. We said we study them based on their presentation. It's not only the written, but they explained verbally. We noted all those things. We will analyze them. We responded to them. That's what they didn't want. They just, as I've said at the beginning, from the very beginning, they came not to proceed with this process. They are not open mind to look at issues issue by issue. Yes, we said 31 billion meter cube of water as historical minimum flow, which is even above the 29 and the 21. If it is that value or lower, we'll release it downstream. And Sudan said 35, Egypt said 40, but also guarantee. There is no such thing. So we bring this data into models and see if there is anything to improve on this scenario. You can see that is we are basing our logic, our dialogue on science base, not on some decision of somebody who didn't look at the content and superimposed decision. Other parameters are also similar. We propose to look into best practice everywhere in the world, adapt that best practice, not create new mechanism, new definition of terms, new variables that cannot be achievable. So that is the point. So final, one, two, okay.
Yes, my name is Mohammed from Sudan News Agency. Actually, I want to clarify a point. You said that the Egyptians have proposed 40 billion cubic meters, take it or leave it,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And was this the first time that they come with this proposal?
Yeah, in this new unilateral proposal, they came with it. It's surprising. You see, we negotiated on adaptive and cooperative principle in 3 states. They brought, we 3 of us, the 3-country expert group, created consensus feeling table already. Ethiopia moved from, the absolute minimum flow level to an improved flow level. But imagine, how do I give 40 billion meter cube when my flow is 29 billion or 30 billion? So this means effectively Grand Renaissance Dam will not be filled at any time. If you go to the average flow, you can't do that. Average flow cannot fill the dam. We have to store. We store from our share. We have equitable share in the system. That's one.
Minister, if you haven't agreed on filling up the dam, and if you haven't agreed on how much cubic meters to be released. How do you say you've made progress in this round of talks, and considering the fact that this dam will be completed by next year, do you expect any kind of progress in the short time that is left before the dam is fully operational?
It's the progress I'm mentioning on the process. As you can see, we have a table. Even they have circulated a table, which is more or less we have developed together, but considered it their table. So there is already a filling table. The point is, it's not really on the filling quantity. What they're arguing is on the ifs and buts. If drought happens, if some water level reaches this level. These are the ifs and buts. The ifs and buts of low probability, unlikely scenarios, have got a way to handle them. That means to establish every year at the beginning, at the end of the rainy season, to establish an annual operation plan, depending on the quantity of water that has come through the rivers. We want to see the entire system, not only Abai. Now we have to see also actually the Takaze and the Barakobo and the white line content, actually how far these are helping under this worst scenario in terms of overcoming any challenge that may come. So this is real progress actually.
And do you expect all these issues to be resolved before the dam is fully operational next year?
Yes, I am hopeful they will be resolved, but Ethiopia's, from the very beginning, Ethiopia's consultation, opening its document, allowing all experts, journalists to look at the dams, is to justify that it's non-harmful. As the construction progresses, if the construction level dictates retention of water, including the early generation, we retain, we continue with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.